I remember for the first time, I've always been very headstrong and super confident. And I always even wondered transparently, how could people think about suicide? Like, how is that why would you want to end your life? It wasn't until I experienced it that I understood. You know what I mean? And so this was one of those times when what was happening more specifically was I was just tired. I was tired of the ups and downs.
You are now locked in for the Comeback Kings podcast. Let's go!
All right, fellas, listen up. I'm about to let you in on a little secret that could save you thousands of dollars every single year. Why keep spending big money every month just to watch your favorite shows and sports, especially when there's Renegade TV? I used to pay monthly for YouTube TV, Prime, Netflix, Disney Plus, and because I couldn't catch my favorite teams locally, I had to drop even more money on NFL Sunday tickets, NBA League Pass, MLB TV. It was sickening. Then I found Renegade TV. One device, one low price, and you get live access to every major sports league, NFL, NBA, MLB, UFC, you name it, you got it. You also get all the newest releases and thousands of movies and shows on demand. No subscriptions, no monthly fees, no hidden fees, just one setup and you're set. So now I'm saving hundreds of dollars every month and easily thousands every single year. So go to streamrenegadetv.com and use code CBK2025 to save $50 at checkout. Oh yes, Kings, we're back for another episode of the Comeback Kings podcast. I am your host, AJ, and today I've got my good brother, my good friend, Mr. DeAndre Etherly with us in the house. What's going on, Dre?
What's going on, good brother? How you doing, man?
Man, I couldn't be better. If I was, I'd be twins.
That'd be
you know what?
Okay.
And I'm going to say right off the bat, I heard old people say that before, but now I feel like as I'm getting older, it's okay for me to say those kinds of things and get a chuckle out of people.
Oh, man, let me tell you something. The one that gets me every time is I ain't seen you in a month of Sundays. It means something to me now. A month of Sundays is a long time.
A month of Sundays is a long time. What is that? That's
30 Sundays.
30, yeah.
That's a lot.
That's almost, well, let's not get into the math here today. Anyways, brother, it's good to have you on the show, man.
Absolutely. Good to be here, man. It really is. Good to be here.
Excellent. So with our show, what we talk about is people that are doing big things. And obviously, I can't wait for you to share your story with everybody that's listening around the world. So do us a favor, man. Just tell us who Dre is and what you got going on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So 44. I'm a father of two kids, a 19-year-old in college and a 9-year-old in football and soccer and all the things, right? And then professionally, I am the owner of a company called Deezy. I also own another company called Fundraise Me Please. So Deezy, we make small HBCU and Greek cards, playing cards for HBCUs and Greeks. In the fundraising space, we're Fundraise Me Please. We are the largest Black-owned product-based fundraising company in the country and one of the fastest to grow in the world. So we're excited about where we are with that. We specifically partner with HBCUs and Greek organizations to help them raise money. So that's kind of where we are, what we're doing. We got a lot of things on the horizon, and we're excited about what we can do in the community.
How did you get involved in that?
So I always get this question: why would you do cards? Like, do you go to school for that? No, they don't have a card curriculum, right? So I went to Dubai in 2016, and they sell these gold cards, right? They're just novelty cards, and so I bought them for everybody, and everybody loved them. And so one day, I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I was like, one day I'm gonna make those cards and do something with them because it's just a really nice gift. So 2020 happens. Right. And when 2020 happens, that was the year of everybody's creating your own hustle, right? Everybody's side business extraordinaire. And so that was home. Yeah, from home, from the crib, because we ain't going outside. Right. That's right. So that was the year that I said, you know what, let me dig up these cards, figure out what I need to do. And so long story short, I put my alma mater, Florida A&M University, on there. They sold like hotcakes. And then I was like, oh, I guess other people like their HBCUs. So I started with 5 HBCUs, and that's grown to over 108 SKUs between HBCUs and Black Greek letter organizations. And so that's what I was doing directly to consumer. And if you remember in 2021, that's when Facebook changed their marketing algorithm and it shut everybody down, right? And so what was, a great thing ended up being not so great. And so I had to figure out some different ways to stay in the same space but make some money. And so at the time, I couldn't afford salespeople. So I was like, how do I get salespeople, but I don't have to pay them? Right. And so then I literally woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, fundraising. Oh, duh. Like, people will ride or die for their organization and I pay them on the back end. So that's kind of how I got into the fundraising space, just really mastering the ability to pivot within the same industry. And that blew up immediately. It's a space that we don't really have in the Black community specifically for us. So being the sole source where folks can go to for fundraising opportunities in the Black community has really proved to help, number one, the community, but also helped our company grow extremely fast.
That's dope, man. So I mean, if you won't mind, tell us a little bit about the growth, like what's happened for you. And
yeah, so we started off, with just me. It was crazy. It was just me, right? And so I'm trying to figure out how to get this great idea and grow it extremely fast. And so I was doing a lot of direct to consumer stuff, and I was traveling all around the country, going to these big HBCU classics and these homecoming games. And really, it was draining. It was too much. And so I was like, this is not sustainable. And so that's kind of what led me into getting into the fundraising space. So at that time, I think we were only doing like $286,000. So in 2023, I hired.
Wait, hold on, brother. Come on. We're not going to do that on the show. What you talking about? Only $286,000.
Well, we were doing about $286,000. This was in 2022. Is I think what we ended at is 286. But that was direct to consumer. So while it was great, it wasn't sustainable. I mean, if you can imagine, I'm flying tons of inventory to Jackson, Mississippi, to New York, to DC, to Florida, wherever these games are held. And so there's also a lot of expenses along with that. So the profit was still good, but it was a lot of work. And you're talking about every weekend. Imagine you go to a family reunion every weekend. That's draining. It's one thing to deal with my family, but I got to deal with your family too, right? And that's every weekend. And that's
month of Sundays.
Right. Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Homecomings and these classics are the biggest things that happen throughout the year in that community, in that space. So it was a lot emotionally and mentally, and it's a lot. If you're a salesperson, when you got to be on and you got to be on. So I was on every single weekend to the utmost way that I could. So it was a lot. So it wasn't sustainable to do it by myself. So that's when I kind of got into the fundraising space, which took off so fast. But the problem was I was doing everything on my own. You know what I mean? I'm going out there and I'm prospecting and trying to find the clients literally from like 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then, oh my gosh, I'm motivating these customers and stuff. I think the thing that really separates us from other fundraising spaces is the way that we fundraise. So what we do is we put people in a group and we really incorporate and teach them how to sell. They don't realize that they're being taught how to sell, but every time they make a sale, we're dropping memes and colloquialisms and go ahead with your bad self. It is a fun environment. Most fundraising spaces pat you on the butt and say, good job, go forth, go be great, go sell stuff. We don't do that. So we hold their hand throughout the whole process. So I'm doing all of this on my own, right? Which is extremely tough. And so the pivotal thing that I think happened that took us from like 286 to the millions was I hired my first employee, right? And so my first job was to get a sales rep on, teach him everything that I knew how to do. And that's what I did. And just between he and I, in that first year, we cleared our first million. So it took me, I think at the time, 42 years to make my first million. It took me 6 months to make my second, and then the rest is history, And so we just began to scale and hire more people, just kind of grow with the economy. Now we have a staff of about 13 people on payroll between 5 different departments. We have 3 warehouses. We're based here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We've got a fulfillment center. So It's growing in a big way. The beauty is we still talk to people that don't even know who we are. We did all of this with no social media. So we didn't have a social media page. So what that speaks to is not only just how organically this is growing, but our ability to provide an excellent opportunity and an excellent experience to where people were just sending people our way. So a lot of times people are just really seeking us out. Oh, I heard this organization made $30,000. I heard this organization made $50,000. Can you guys help us too? So it's really grown organically, so much to the fact that last year I was like, okay, well, we got a couple dollars. Let's do it right. Let's hire a marketing team. And it didn't work, right? So we put all this money into marketing and it didn't work. And what we learned from that experience was this is something that folks are just going to organically have to hear about, right? So, and it's not something that if we market that it's really going to increase our numbers at all. People have to experience this, and they literally just tell people about their experience and how much money they made. So that's kind of where we are. We're still growing, we're still developing, still filling in a lot of gaps. We're still learning, and we got a long way to go. And we have some things on the horizon that are going to be pretty cool as well. So yeah, that's kind of where we are.
And that's awesome. You know, I was thinking about this, and you're going to be mad at me for saying this in a public forum, but don't forget the conversation continues inside the CBK mobile app. This is the premier community for content, conversations, and resources, all built to help our kings get back on track. Inside the app, you'll get exclusive after-show clips, direct access to podcast guests, and insider interviews with industry experts on everything from health and wealth to relationships and spirituality. You'll also unlock member-only deals designed for the needs of real men, plus tools and training to fuel your personal comeback. Come network with fellow kings from around the world and be a part of the global movement, helping men rise from setbacks and rebuild a life that they're proud of, with purpose, strength, and community. Join the movement now. Download the free Comeback Kings mobile app at cbknetwork.com. I think you were destined to play cards because do you remember that time you and I played cards way back in the day?
I do remember.
we won't talk about it anymore, but I just, this is awesome that you've been able to, but this is not the first thing that you've done in your professional career, but this thing has skyrocketed. What you said, 286 in 2022, right? And now you've had multiple millions since then.
Yes.
You guys are growing incredibly fast. So when people look at you from the outside, they see this almost quote unquote finished product, right? They see Dre, successful, Deezy successful, and you guys are still going.
Yeah.
So what I'd love to pick your brain about, if you wouldn't mind, is I know it hasn't always been that way, right? Whether it's been with this company or with anything that you've done in the past. Talk to me about how you've been able to manage some of the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of, like you said, being on this earth for 40 plus years, experiencing a whole bunch of stuff. So talk to us about some of the other highs and maybe some of the lows.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to speak to first what you said about like externally, it looks great, right? We're making millions of dollars and, all of this stuff. And I look at me and I'm like, man, we a mom and pop shop. What are you talking about? We're still trying to make it. Like I can see all the problems with our processes. So I think the first lesson is that what you see isn't always what is, and so there's always a constant growth. There's always something that you can do better at. But the reason why I'm able to sustain, the reason why I'm able to keep pushing through is because exactly what you said. There's been so many highs and lows in the past that have really prepared me for this moment. So now when I see challenges, I see them differently. They don't affect me always the same, especially specifically professionally or dealing with business. There have been times in this particular business where there wasn't any money in the bank. And back in the day, I would be so, just overwhelmed. And it doesn't even affect me anymore because now I know how to get it. I know how to do whatever we need to do to get there, right? So what I'm saying is, for me to be where I am, it took every single up, every single down to prepare me mentally, emotionally, and from a skill set basis to be here. So I do know that even before I got in this business, I can think of a couple times where shit was tough, man. Stuff was tough. You and I worked together for a company called Traeger. many, many moons ago. And so when I left Traeger, it was tough. We were making good money. It was great, all this stuff. And I ended up getting laid off from Traeger. And so when I was there, when I was in that space, we also did Airbnb together, but this was 2016, 2017 when Airbnb wasn't what it is now, right? And so a lot of people didn't have the business model. So I'm trying to grow this Airbnb brand, which really takes a lot of money up front to get done, right? And I'm in the midst, I'm losing everything, right? And financially, I just didn't.
I was going to say, when you said I'm losing everything, are you talking about properties or what are you talking about?
Shoot, I mean, I poured out so much money. I literally couldn't pay my personal bills because I'm trying to get this business up and make sure all these houses are going and they've furnished and you got house clean. You remember the drill, like it's running a hotel. And if you have multiple properties, then you have multiple hotels. And for somebody who just thinks that you can just go put a property out there on Airbnb and it's just going to flow, oh boy, you got a learning curve ahead of you, right? And so I'm going through that learning curve, but at the same time, I've got to pay my bills. Right. And so I'm always been a firm believer of let the business sustain itself as an entity. Don't take from the business until you're able to take from the business, until you're able to pay yourself and stuff. So I'm trying to let that grow. But what am I doing for myself and trying to make sure that I can sustain? Man, I almost lost my house. When I say I almost lost everything, I was borrowing money left and right. And I can think of that point as one of the lower points of my life, but definitely not the lowest. And I'm going to tell you the difference why, because even in that point when externally, it felt like I was losing everything financially. It felt like things were crumbling. My headspace was still good. So because my headspace was still good, I was able to do all the things necessary to come out of that. You don't have money? Go find it, right? Like if you know how to find money, you know how to find money. And being broke doesn't scare you. When I think about my lowest point, it was when my headspace was gone, which is very different than being gone financially, because at that point I felt like, okay, I'm just should I grew up poor? What's new, baby? We eating ramen noodles today, right?
Right.
That never scared me. I think when I think about my lowest point, it wasn't when I was super struggling financially. It was when I was mentally and emotionally drained and I didn't know where to go. And I found it hard to function on a daily basis. I found it hard to get up out of my bed. I found it hard to get anything done. And I would have this wealth of things on my agenda and to-do list, and I couldn't get it done. That was back in 2022. And so I think what brought me to that point was
the same year that you made the
2022
quarter million?
286. Yeah.
Okay.
Tough.
That's interesting that a good financial year didn't have anything to do with the fact that, like you're saying, you were in a not so great headspace, mental space.
Yeah, terrible place for me mentally and emotionally. Because that's why I wanted to distinguish the two, because it's not always financial. When we think of lowest point, especially in spaces like this, we automatically go to the place where I didn't have things or money or things that society sees as success. It wasn't that. It was my mind. I remember for the first time, I've always been very headstrong and super confident. And I always even wondered transparently, how could people think about suicide? Like, how is that why would you want to end your life? It wasn't until I experienced it that I understood. You know what I mean? And so this was one of those times when what was happening more specifically was I was just tired. I was tired of the ups and downs. You know what I mean? I was no longer excited about the ups because I knew right around the corner was the down. And then right around that corner was the up. And it became a thing of like, does this ever end? And is this something that I want to do? When am I ever going to be able to just sit and have peace? And I'm not always out there trying to get it. And that sent me into a very deep depression. So it wasn't even that I was experiencing success. I wasn't excited about the success that I was experiencing because it was like, this is a carrot. How long is it going to be here? You know what I mean? because that's what my life has been. Serial entrepreneur, always been ups and downs, high highs and low lows. You know what I mean? And at this point, I was just like, I don't know what's ahead. And I felt like, and I might have been 40, 41 at this time, which is a huge evaluation period specifically for men. You know what I mean? Because, 30, 40, probably when I get to 50, these are monumental evaluation times to say, where am I at? And unfortunately, we begin to compare ourselves with our network, right? Which can be devastating. Because again, like y'all are seeing me and y'all don't see all the things on the back end, we're looking externally at what people are showing us, and that may not be everything that it is, right? What we see isn't what it is. And so, but that's still the mirror that we have to look at, right? We're looking at what people show us. And so I'm comparing myself. I'm at 40 years old and I'm not where I want to be. I don't want to be in this up and down. It sent me in a very deep depression. And like I said, man, I just remember I couldn't get up, or I would sleep all day long. I've never been a sleeper. I naturally get up. I haven't used an alarm clock in years. I naturally get up at 5:30, 6 a.m., to get my day started. And these days I would sleep till 11, wake up, maybe work for an hour, and I'd be like, well, I'm going to take a nap. You know what I mean? Like, what? You just woke up, and then just didn't want, I ostracized myself away from family, from friends. I never wanted to do anything, quite honestly. And frankly, my house was a fucking mess. I didn't even want to walk through my house. It was a very deep, deep depression. Meanwhile, I have this business that has to thrive. And so if you remember me saying, I was doing all of this on my own. I'm doing the prospecting. I'm doing the motivating of these teams and teaching them to sell. Oh, but then 3 o'clock comes and I got to pack these damn orders. Like I was literally doing it all on my own. And then that was Monday through Thursday. And then Thursday night, I'm flying out with all of this stuff. It was too much. It was entirely too much to handle for me.
Let me ask you this question. Yeah. Damn. I didn't realize you were going there with this, but this is beautiful, man. I appreciate you sharing that, because that's extremely personal, but something that I think all of us have related to at some point in time. So for me, the question that I had listening to you was this a gradual thing, or was it one thing, whether it was a high and you were like, man, listen, I'm not even going to get excited about this, or was it a low and you were like, damn, I can't do this no more? What is it that you feel like started that spiral process? Because like you said, you've had this going on, ups and downs for a long time, but what made that snap for you?
Yeah.
To where things changed?
I don't know that I can pinpoint that there was a specific event. I think it's both. I think it was gradually happening and I wasn't noticing that it was happening. And that's the difference that I have now. Is I can see the onset. I can see it coming. But back then, for somebody who had never experienced depression, who'd always been super positive, for somebody who always been super strong-minded, I didn't see the effects of things that were happening in my life and what they had on me, because all I know is just keep going, just keep being positive and things are going to work out. Well, guess what? Sometimes shit just still don't work out, and you can be doing the right things and things still don't work out. So I think in the background, these nuances were gradually happening, but I do know that it was more of an instant where I don't think that there was a particular event that happened, but I just remember waking up and just like overwhelmed, like this is too much. I was never a crier, and I remember I would just cry. I don't even know. Yeah, I could watch a movie, cry. I could, you know what I'm saying? I could talk to a friend. I could watch something on Facebook and I'd be crying. I'm like, I've never been so damn emotional. And what I realize now, having gone through therapy and all of these things, is there's triggers, there's things that we're not paying attention to mentally and emotionally that are happening. And so those become symptoms of a deeper issue. Right. And I didn't know how to delve deep into myself and figure out what was going on and really pay attention. But that's what was happening. So that's what was happening gradually until I just came to a head. And I just was like, I don't want to work no more. I don't want to get up. I don't think it was gradual. It just was like, it might have been gradual over like a week span of time, but not over months. Over a week, it was just like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this tomorrow. And then you start procrastinating. And before you procrastinate, you have so much on your plate that you're just like, I'm too overwhelmed to get it done. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I think happened.
Well, men do that, right? I mean, it's like we shoulder a whole bunch of stuff and we put on a smile to the world, and then at some point in time, you're going to have to deal with it, right? Either you're going to discipline your emotions, or the world is going to discipline you. You know, we've heard those sayings. The question is, if this is something, because I heard you say, well, now I know how to recognize the signs. Mm-hmm. So the question is, how did you get out of that? Because for so many people, that's the end.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily even just talking literally, but figuratively, you know, they just stop. You know, I remember listening to Les Brown a long time ago. He would say, you know, I got off the highway of life and I parked for years, you know, where he just wasn't pressing forward. He wasn't trying to better himself. He wasn't doing anything. So how did you snap yourself out of that, Dre, so that you could become what we're seeing today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll first say this. Anybody that's listening, go get some therapy, man. We don't know how to navigate our emotions. We don't know how to navigate things naturally that happen. And that's a skill set. And so now I think that is what has helped me now. Back then, I didn't know what to do. So the only thing that I knew to do was to keep going. Right. And I think we rest on that, especially as men a lot, is just keep going and things are going to eventually get better. Now I have some skill set to set aside with that. You can't just keep going. Like, you also have to be working at certain things internally. But back then I didn't have that skill set. I didn't have that knowledge. I didn't know what to do. So I literally, to get out of this, I'll never forget. I said, I am going to commit to working 9 to 10 hours a day, and I'm not going to sleep. My goal was very low at that point. Just don't sleep. Don't get in the bed. Don't take a nap. I was so overwhelmed with what I know now to be depression that I just knew, like, when I get in the bed, it's over. It's done. Get your ass out of the bed, and you are not allowed to hit the bed again for 9 or 10 hours. So that's what got me out of there, was really just the will to overcome what I didn't know was even there. You know what I mean? And sometimes maybe that's what you just got to do. Just do what you know how to do until something else shows up. But I think the key is you got to keep going. What does that look like? Maybe just setting little goals every day. I'm not talking about no weekly goals. I can't get through the week. I can't get through the week. I need to get through to 12 o'clock. I need to get through to 6 o'clock. Sometimes we set these goals of what we want to do that are too big for us mentally and emotionally, and I just need to get through the day. So what do I need to do today so that I can make it? And I think I did that, and from that, I began to make bigger goals. Like, okay, so what can I do for 3 days? What can I do if I do for a week? And it had nothing to do with productivity or the business. It had to do with literally just doing something. Do laundry. Go clean up your room. Go send these emails, right? Do anything that you can, but don't touch that bed. Don't get in that bed. No matter what. When you get a phone call and it's easy to sit down, don't sit down. That's what got me through that time period. And then what happened was productivity began to take tasks off my list. As tasks came off my list, it reduced the overwhelming feeling. As I reduced the overwhelming feeling, I began to see the world for the better positive that it is. And it just eventually things start happening. Things start happening, and, you know, positive things start happening. More businesses, more organizations start coming. I started making more money. And before I knew it, because I always had that goal, and before I knew it, it was not a goal anymore. It was literally a habit. And I hate to sound cliche, but you know what I mean? That's what happens. You do things for 21, 28 days and they become habits. Before you know it, the same way I woke up in depression, I woke up out of it in a way where I didn't even know, shit, y'all, I'm not depressed anymore. You know what I mean? And so it was months later, but that I realized, I woke up and it was like, yo, I'm genuinely happy again. When did that happen? Because I had just been so focused on just move, just keep doing it, that became habit. So that's kind of what got me out of mine. Now, and I take it back to the first thing that I said, now I've got a little bit more tools in my arsenal to be able to, one, see the onset coming, to know how things affect me personally. And I attribute a lot of that to therapy. So that's why I absolutely say brothers need to go to therapy and figure out what this skill set is on how to manage yourself.
And that's not a weak thing to do, right? Therapy is not a weak thing to do. It's strengthening your strongest muscle, which is your mind.
Yeah.
And it allows you to do so much stuff. But you said something in there that I wanted to ask you earlier, but I think is even more important to hear in this context. You mentioned at the onset that you're a father, right? So you're not just responsible for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about how this process, from the depression to coming up out of it, how that's affected your family and how that motivates you or inspires you or whatever the case may be, just to make sure that you keep moving forward on a good path.
Yeah. That's important. So I think when I look at during that time, I would be lying to you to say that did not impact those relationships. It did. Because even when you're in those things, you think that you're doing the best that you can. But number one, you're not, but you're not capable. And so it does impact the relationships around you. I'm not married, but it's going to impact your wife. It's going to impact your kids. It's going to impact your sibling relationships, your parental relationships. It impacts your professional relationships, right? So that's another reason and motivator to get out of there. So I say that to say this, there was repair that needed to happen because of how that depression and that mentality did affect my fathering and my parenting. Not when I say I ostracize myself from people, I could be physically there, but not present, as a father and not focused on my kids or in my phone or just dazing off to the sky because I'm thinking about wanting to go to sleep or whatever may have you. So I'd be lying to you if I didn't say it didn't affect those relationships and I had to repair them.
Now, was this you realizing that the relationship was messed up, or were they coming to you and saying, hey, yo,
get it
together? Or?
Yeah. So I have a younger son who he wouldn't have known, right? So, 5 years, 6 years old, everything's just what it is. But I had an older daughter who could communicate, her thoughts and her feelings. And I think from some of those conversations and our interactions, I realized that I had been distant and I had not been the best father that I could be during that time. And this is all coupled. And so that relationship also was impacted by not only my depression, but then the excitement of being out of depression and then trying to make this business work and grow and expand also took time away. Right. So, the age old thing is, how do you balance? And I don't know if anybody has the answer because it's tough. That's the answer is it's tough and you got to figure out what works personally for your family. But that's what happened. I did see the effects of those relationships. My daughter was able to communicate, but once she communicated, it gave me an opportunity to go back and reflect. And so I know that it also impacted my son. You know what I mean? When I started to look back at myself and see how I was showing up and being physically present, but not mentally and emotionally present. Right. And so, again, I just had to take that as an opportunity to repair those relationships.
I'm glad to hear you did that, man. I really am, man. Because we all know that all the money in the world doesn't matter if you don't have your family.
That's the realest thing in the world.
Yeah.
That's the realest thing in the world.
So now we're at a place you come out of this, you're excited, you're fired up, Deezy Deck's moving ahead at full speed. What do you do now when you feel this onset of emotion coming, where you're starting to feel overwhelmed or maybe depressed, or, I don't know if you have a different term. For many people, depressed is a taboo word or something you just stay away from, right? It's like, oh, I'm not on medications or whatever. Whatever you're feeling that you feel like takes you off kilt, how are you getting back now? Faster? How are you noticing it and how you get back?
That's a great question, man. This is DeAndre talking, so I don't know what works for you. You got to figure out what works for you. But DeAndre throws himself into work in sometimes an unhealthy way. It's the way that I get away from the problems in life, because professionally, that's where I succeed. You know what I mean? That's where I'm good. So it feels good to either be looked up at as a leader or to even accomplish things. And so that begins to be my quote unquote safe space when things aren't feeling well. But it can also be unhealthy because I'm not dealing with the things. So the answer to your question is, what do I do now? I actually detach from work. I do a lot more self-care. I do a lot more massages. I do a lot more thinking to myself and taking half a day. Sometimes you can't take a whole day. Let's just be real. You know what I mean? But half a day to turn off my phone and detach. I travel. So if I need to go book a flight to India to get away from you motherfuckers, then guess what? That's what I'm going to do. Right?
All the way to India?
Yeah, I got to go to India. I got to go to India. Right? Because that's my place. Poker does it for me. Poker. I play a lot of poker, and being able to, if you ever play poker, you are fully engaged mentally with what you're doing. You're not thinking about, that's my happy place, man. That's my happy place. So I can sit there for 5 or 6 hours. So you got to figure out, number one, what is the vice that you normally go to and evaluate? Is that a safe vice, or could it be safe and unhealthy at the same time? Right. But whatever your vice is, don't do that. Go do something else that is more healthy for you. So when you see that onset, so now I began to manage it better because I see it coming. You know what? I need a day. I need a day. I need a half a day. I need to get out of town. And what I've learned is, guess what? Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. It's like we think if I'm not there in every waking moment as a father, as a husband, as a business professional, that everything is going to crumble. And that's not true. It's not going to crumble. It's going to be okay. And honestly, professionally, it has helped me to relate to my employees so well because we have a culture here where we just believe in excellence. And I see sometimes where my employees they're trying to be excellent. And I'm like, bro, you need to go home and deal with your daughter. You know what I mean? Or sis, I can tell you need a mental day. So as a leader, it's helped me to identify even in them the things that I see in myself so that I can tell them, you need to go. Guess what? This job going to be here. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine without you. We ain't missing nothing. Orders still going to go out. Customer service still going to go on. Accounting still going to go on. Logistics still going to go on. But we need you to be your best self. So go take 2 days. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. You know what I mean? It's really helped me in that way, not only for myself, but also to be related as a leader.
That's phenomenal, man. That's phenomenal. Man, well, listen, congratulations on all the success that you got going on now. And I know we didn't even scratch the surface of some of the other stuff that you've got in the pipeline. But I want to do two things.
Sure.
I want you to, and I'll lay it out for you, then you just roll with it. One, if you had one piece of advice for somebody that you feel is similar to you, right? Going through the same stuff that you're going through, business owner, family man, one piece of advice to make sure that they can always show up as the best version of themselves as much as possible. And then two, how can we connect with Dre to see all the projects that you've got going on, how we can participate, how we can fundraise, whatever it is that you've got going on that you need help with, the floor is yours, bro.
Yeah, so that's tough. One piece of advice that I would give to someone, so much so I'm trying to think what is at the core. I think the core is really learning to manage yourself, which really is rooted in some type of therapy. I'm not saying that you have to go sit on somebody's couch, but you got ChatGPT, you got resources out here that can help you. Go define some of these things. What is narcissism? What is depression? What are some of these buzzwords that people talk about? Look at those things, research those things, find out about those things, and figure out how to manage those things. Identify, if you have some emotional scars, some childhood history that you've put off to the side that you haven't dealt with. What I'm telling you is deal with it. Deal with the mental and emotional that you have because it ain't going away. And to become the best version of yourself, you're going to have to accept it. You're going to have to learn to manage it so that you can deal with it. That's the first thing that I would tell you. Figure out what's something fucked up with all of us. What's fucked up with you? Own it. Own it. And it's something deeper than whatever you see on the external. It's something way deeper. And I can tell you it's also consistent in every relationship that you have. It's consistent. So figure out what it is. Learn to manage it, because I didn't say you're going to get rid of it. I said learn to manage it, because it's who you are. It's how God made us. You know what I mean? So learn to manage it and deal with it. That would be the piece of advice that I have, and that'll help you with all the other
That's strong.
The balance and all of that stuff. How do you connect with me? You can find us on social media, which we don't do a whole lot of social media, but at DeezyDecks, that's DeezyDecks. The fundraising company is at Fundraise Me Please on all social platforms. And then what I didn't tell you about is what we're releasing in 2026, which we're super excited about. You know, we want to be Netflix and not Blockbuster, right? So the reality is we know that everybody is going to come to a point where they've got cards in their house and nobody's buying a whole shit ton of cards, right? So we have to have something else. So about 2 years ago, I started working on this project where it's called Infinity Black Card. And so this is the first Black-owned business discount card, and it's national. Think of it like a Black version of Groupon. So I can be in Miami, I can be in Provo, Utah, I can be in LA and New York, and I can see where all the Black businesses are in my geographic area. But the idea is even better, because you get an exclusive discount to any of our partners. The caveat is you can only get this through a fundraiser. So think back to when we were selling those fundraisers back in school, and we would sell, the local businesses. So we're just doing that on a national scale, and it's digital. So this now, our product right now is HBCUs and Greeks. It only speaks to 20% of Black folks. So what this product does is it expands to the other 80%. Also, and even folks even out of that diaspora, right, that want to support Black-owned businesses. So that's being released in 2026. The largest database of Black-owned businesses right now is on Black Wall Street. They have about 5,000 to 7,000 Black-owned business listings. We've been working on this for 2.5 years. We have over 75,000, and nobody knows who we are. So that's being released in 2026. We're super excited about that. So I say that to say you can find us also at Infinity Black Card on all social media platforms. What can you do to help us? If you know of anybody looking for fundraising opportunities for their organization, you can reach out to us on those social media platforms or fundraisemeplease.com.
That's fire, man. Congratulations on everything you got going on, bro.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. I just really want to tell you, thank you for the space that you are providing for us. Not only in this space, but this has been your mission to continuously provide a space for fathers, for men, for folks that are of similar mindset. You continue to provide these spaces that are not, number one, safe, but two, that give us the things that we need to get by on a day-to-day basis. And I appreciate you for recognizing that there's a deficit there, and then also providing some tools for us to help us. I think that what you do, what I've always known you to do, is be able to find a way to connect us all in a meaningful way, in a way that really just helps us on a daily basis. So I appreciate you, man. I want to say thank you. Comeback Kings is what we need.
Brother, I appreciate that more than you know, man. I feel good about what we're doing here because we all need it. And this was not me looking at what other people need. This Comeback King started because me. Like, I was down bad. And so I feel like let's just do it all together, So I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely, brother. 100%. 100%.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
All right. Well, listen, man, thank you for your time today. I know that you've got a ton of stuff going on right now. And so for us to be able to lock this in, it means the world to me. It means the world to everybody that's listening as well. So thank you for your time. Kings, as you're out there doing what you do, just please remember, your setback doesn't define you, but your comeback will. Peace.
Peace.
That does it for another episode of the Comeback Kings podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, leave us a review, and come join the after party inside the app at cbknetwork.com. And remember, your past doesn't define you, your comeback will.